Hey everyone, how's it going? For today's video, let's take an up-close and personal, in-depth look at the 2014 Mazda MX-5 Grand Touring. So this is going to be a detailed, in-depth review of the MX-5. We'll start it up, show the engine, get an exhaust clipping over the performance data, take it on a detailed test drive, and show you a bunch of the unique aspects of both the interior as well as exterior. And so, without further ado, let's go ahead and start her up, let her run. In addition to the optional suspension package, which I'll highlight a little bit later in the video, this MX-5 also features the optional premium package. So with that premium package, you get xenon headlamps, Bluetooth, Sirius satellite radio, as well as an alarm system. But probably the biggest plus also included in the package is Mazda's advanced keyless entry system. Utilizing the button on both the driver and passenger side door handle, you're able to lock and unlock the vehicle without the fob as long as you just keep it in your pocket. To lock it, just tap it once. The vehicle beeps once to lock, then after waiting a second, push it again. 2 beeps, unlock it, and push it one more time to unlock the passenger door. This exterior color is known as Meteor Gray and comes paired with the optional spicy brown full leather upholstery with brown color accent stitching. Now, along with that keyless entry system, this vehicle also features a keyless ignition system, but instead of being a push button, it's actually a key-like mechanism built into the ignition cylinder. So to start the vehicle, you gotta make sure you have the key fob on you so the vehicle detects it. Just put your foot on the brake and clutch, and then just turn it like you would turn a typical key. The MX-5 features delightfully firm, variable hydraulic assist, rack and pinion steering, directly transferred through a sporty, thin-rimmed 3-spoke leather-wrapped wheel. The supple surface feels smooth and refined, unobstructed by grip bolsters with plenty of surface area to grip no matter the turning angle. Each spoke is highlighted by glossy dark gray trim with simple multifunction controls on the upper spokes, finished off by a decorative bright Mazda logo with clear housing surrounded by a bright trim ring with simulated rivets. The MX-5 steering features a ratio of 15:1 with 2.7 turns to lock. The electro-hydraulic assist emits great feedback through the wheel, giving the driver a direct feeling of being connected to the road. Feedback is linear while the steering response is direct. It goes wherever you tell it to with immediacy and precision. With the car's lightweight design, it feels easy to toss around, take a corner sharply, or simply maneuver it in tight areas. There are 3 available transmissions. Standard on the base model Sport is a 5-speed manual, while the upgraded Club and Grand Touring models receive a 6-speed manual. A 6-speed automatic with steering wheel mounted paddle shifters is available for all models. The MX-5 is also rear-wheel drive. Cars equipped with the 6-speed manual can be had with the available Sport package, as shown here, which adds further tuned suspension, Bilstein shocks, and a limited slip differential. My week with the MX-5 was spent trying to find every excuse I could to take it for a drive. To extract this car's true potential, get the manual. The short throw arrangement is quick to respond, very precise and accurate. Even the clutch pedal feels perfectly weighted, it's not too stiff nor too light. Acceleration comes on relatively strong and smooth. The engine, as rev-happy as it is, never feels or sounds strained in the upper power band. The sound and feel of the vibrations through the gear knob will always bring a smile to your face. It might as well be the best manual gearbox I've tried at any price point.
And so we're going to flip on the optional xenon headlamps, fog lamps, and the hazards. Both windows are automatic down only, and we're going to check out the exterior. Upon closing the door, you'll also notice the vehicle will chime a few times, letting you know it's lost detection of the proximity key fob.
In 1989, Mazda turned the sports car world upside down with the launch of the first generation Miata for 1990. The small, rear-wheel drive two-seat Roadster boasted a minimalistic layout and a compact package with your choice of manual or automatic transmissions, decent performance, and a low curb weight. It spearheaded the revitalization of the small sports car segment, featuring a level of excitement previously seen with classic nameplates like MG and Alfa Romeo, but adapted for modern times. Since then, the Miata has become an icon, representing the benchmark of its class. Now 25 years later, you can still compare it to a number of new cars out there, but there's nothing else on the road that offers a similar level of driving pleasure, excitement, and engagement for the price point, starting at just $23,970 for the entry trim level. Over the years, the Miata and subsequent MX-5 has had its fair share of revisions and redesigns. The second generation, produced from 1999 to 2005, marked the first big change, namely in styling, but also a few refinement touches and more power, but it still firmly held true to the first generation's values. 2006, on the other hand, represented the Miata's first major redesign since its 1989 inception, now simply referred to as the MX-5. With a fresh, dedicated platform, revised styling, and a high dose of refinement, Mazda took everything that made the previous cars good and made it great. The new car grew in size and only gained 102 pounds more, but its body in white was actually 3.5 pounds less than the second gen. It's longer and wider by 1.6 inches and taller by just 0.6 inches. The new dimensions, in my opinion, also helped make the MX-5 more accommodating for taller people. My 5'10" frame felt relatively comfortable, whereas previous gen Miatas could feel a bit cramped. It's also safer with the addition of side airbags, new technology, and extra chassis reinforcements. Mazda even gave the MX-5 an aluminum hood and trunk lid to lessen weight gain and help retain the car's perfect weight distribution. If that wasn't enough, the suspension was completely redesigned to feature more vertical shocks that would lead to more linear response, as well as repositioned outer ball joints which lowered the car's front roll center by an inch, not to mention revised dampers. Bigger brakes and more robust calipers were also fitted that made it stop better than any Miata before it. You can instantly tell the difference between this car and the previous gen by its stiffness. It feels solid and stable without excess rattles, shakes, or quivers over rougher roads. I was actually really surprised by how good it rode, soaking up bumps relatively well for such a sporty vehicle. You still feel plenty of road, but it's just enough without being harsh. The only downside is a bit of tire and wind noise as you drive down the highway, something I got used to after a while. The power retractable hardtop option actually debuted in 2007. While the soft top is standard with all trim levels, I highly suggest opting for the PRHT. It gives the car a much sleeker profile and gives all-weather comfort, without lugging a heavy one-piece roof around. It only adds about 70-80 pounds, but I think that's a pretty good trade-off for increased comfort. In 2009, the third-gen MX-5 received a nice refresh, which included revised styling for the most part, a new aggressive front clip with wider 5-point grille, angled headlamps, revised tail lamps, etc. The interior also gained some extra features such as revised seats, center console padding, and more. The biggest change was with the engine, which received a new crankshaft, new connecting rods, pistons, valve springs, and the addition of an engine oil cooler, making it a little bit more lively and raising the red line a bit. If you haven't noticed it already, 2009 also introduced a new feature dubbed Induction Sound Enhancement. Extra sound is delivered via a network of tubes that pipe in more intake and engine noise to the base of the windshield. You can really tell the difference and almost gives it the sonic effect of having an aftermarket cold air intake. Not much else changed in the following years aside from some equipment and trim reshuffling. 2013 saw a mild front-end refresh, but other than that, the overall style, chassis, and build remains the same, well-thought-out layout. It'll continue through the 2015 model year before an all-new car is set to debut for 2016. The MX-5 Grand Touring comes equipped with an upgraded set of 17 by 7-inch silver-painted cast aluminum wheels, wrapped in 205/45 Michelin Pilot Preceda tires, able to hold up to 0.94 G in lateral cornering forces. Stability and traction control are standard now on all models. The brakes consist of 11.4 by 0.9 inch ventilated discs up front and 11 by 0.4 inch discs in the rear. With this setup, the MX-5 stops some 60 miles an hour in an average of 113 feet. As far as the suspension, Mazda fitted the MX-5 with a proper sports car setup, double wishbones in front with multi-link rear design, coil springs, and not to mention front and rear anti-roll bars. New aluminum upper and lower control arms up front shave 5.5 pounds of weight over the previous steel units. They eliminated the need to use mounting brackets for the power steering pump and air compressor, shaving 7 pounds, while the hollow front stabilizer bar shaves an additional 5 pounds. Relocating the battery from the trunk to ahead of the engine also reduced the distance to the car's center of gravity by nearly a foot. Overall length is 157.3 inches, with a width of 67.7 inches and a height of 49.4 inches, riding on a 91.7 inch wheelbase. Total curb weight for this car is around 2,593 pounds or 2,511 pounds without the power retractable hardtop.
So we're gonna pop the hood.
Since the third generation debuted for 2006 redesign, not much has changed in terms of the MX-5's performance. An all-aluminum dual-overhead cam 16-valve MRZ inline 4-cylinder produces 167 horsepower at 6,700 RPM and 140 pound-feet of torque at 5,000 RPM. Now that's with the 6-speed manual. If you get the 6-speed automatic, horsepower drops to 158. It carries a compression ratio of 10.8 to 1, fuel is delivered via port injection with a red line of 7,200 RPM. While that may not sound like a lot of power, keep in mind that the standard car weighs just under 2,500 pounds. With this little weight to propel, the car is able to achieve a 0 to 60 time in a reasonable 6.1 to 6.5 seconds, while the quarter-mile passes in around 15 seconds at 91 miles an hour. Top speed is drag limited to 131 miles an hour. As far as fuel economy, the MX-5 has a tank capacity of 12.7 gallons. While running on recommended premium fuel, EPA estimates range between 21 miles to a gallon in the city and 28 on the highway. Interior styling for the MX-5 may be a little outdated for some, but in my experience I thought overall build quality was fantastic. Sure, there's some uses of harder plastics as you would expect from a car introduced 8 years ago, but a number of refinements over the years added additional padding and soft material across all touch points. The interior fitment feels very solid and well put together, and it even gives off kind of a tailored vibe with this optional spicy mocha color scheme with accent stitching. The middle section of the door feature thicker padding, whereas your doors also have your power locks and power mirrors. Interestingly enough, there's actually 4 cup holders in the vehicle that seats 2 people, 2 of which are located on the door, which are a perfect size for a water bottle. There's also a little storage pocket at the bottom of each panel. Both of the seats feature manual sliding and recline adjustment, but the driver's seat actually has additional height adjustment. Overall comfort and support is pretty decent, I would say. They're not super plushy lounge chairs or anything like that, but they do offer a modest amount of lateral support across the sides with more defined bolsters. One thing I would suggest is some form of additional lumbar support. The standard seats come with a reasonable amount overall, and I didn't really find an issue with that on some of my longer trips, but some people may want a little bit of extra support in the lower back region. The headrests are fixed and have anti-roll bars located behind each, and there's 4 airbags, 2 in the front and 2 side airbags. The steering wheel is manual tilting telescoping, whereas the lower portion of the dash has a little storage cubby, your traction control, and a dash that's relatively straight for the most part with cool circular air vents extending the length of the vehicle. It gives the interior more appearance of having extra width to it. finished off with an all-black headliner.
So let's go ahead and see how she sounds. To lower the roof, you're going to want to first locate the handle in the top here, hit this little release button, and it allows you to unlock the lever. Then this little indicator will light up, letting you know it's ready to lower, and then just hit the button on the right. The windows roll down just a little bit, and it begins the motion. And to put the top back up, you just hit the button on the left. So we're going to shut her up.
With the Grand Touring trim, you also get an upgraded 7-speaker Bose audio system with Bose Audio Pilot, AM/FM radio, 6-disc in-dash CD changer, and auxiliary iPod integration. While I wouldn't call it a powerful audio system, it's definitely an upgrade over the base unit. My only wish is that it had just a little bit more substance, a little bit more low-end bass or something of that nature. It's not really a complaint because I think the audio system did a pretty decent job overall with a variety of music types, especially at higher volumes with the top down going down the highway. It provided enough clarity to where you could still hear the words of the song and really be immersed in the sound.
Slender visors that curve with the curvature of the windshield frame, and little vanity mirrors within. This car also has an auto-dimming view mirror with 3 programmable garage home link positions right beneath. Your interior illumination is located via that little switch there. The interior ergonomics and button layout of the MX-5 is actually really good. You don't have to stretch at all, everything's within easy reach from the radio to the climate control dials. And it's also very simply laid out, clearly labeled, so it's not an overbearing amount of technology, but you still have enough features, if equipped, that tips it more towards the luxury side. So as far as using the radio, you have a digital display right here that shows the media that you're currently on, as well as the vehicle's clock, in-6 CD changer, activated via that button right there, auxiliary iPod integration via the little port down below, next to a 12-volt power outlet, and in this car, 5-stage heated seats for both the driver and passenger. Standard Sirius satellite radio, as well as your standard AM/FM. Preset stations located on either side that also controls your clock function, repeat, and random song. Rewind, fast forward, seek, change in the track, changing between the discs and folder depending on if you have an MP3 device playing, play, pause, scan, as well as displaying different text, volume and power, as well as tune, not to mention your audio adjustments. You can also turn the beep off if you didn't want it on. The silver accented rotary knobs correspond to your climate control, with your fan speed being off to the far right, one-touch AC, temperature in the middle, as well as your different zones and specific zones for when you have the top down. Not to mention front and rear defrost and automatic mode. Across the broad center console, your emergency brake, wrapped in leather, window controls, and a padded container right here that automatically slides out to give you a small little storage tray right there and 2 cup holders. All the way in the back is a lockable storage compartment, as well as 2 additional speakers. Not to mention the fold-up wind deflector. It's a nice little storage well, and like you saw earlier, it has that little pull tab right there for the fuel cap release. As far as the steering wheel, the top 2 spokes house your multifunction controls. On the left-hand side is your radio controls, as well as hands-free Bluetooth telephone if you have one connected. The right-hand side corresponds to your cruise control. Left-hand side stalk has all of your lighting, and the right hand your intermittent wipers. The 5-pod speedometer cluster consists of, from left to right, vehicle fuel, tachometer, oil pressure, speedometer, and temperature off to the far right. Alrighty. Go ahead and shut her down. And we'll check out the rest of the vehicle, shall we?
One of the only downsides to being a small car is that you don't have a whole lot of cargo space. All in all, it's around 5.3 cubic feet out back. The trunk floor accommodates for slightly taller items, being that it dips down in the middle. All in all, it's just enough room for a few bags. The little black bag towards the rear of the trunk is actually your tire inflation kit if you experience a flat. There's also a jack located on the right-hand side pocket.
The passenger seat features manual sliding and recline, but doesn't have the height adjustment of the driver's seat. The glove box is also locking. It has a pretty good amount of space.
For 25 years, the Mazda MX-5 Miata has been providing drivers with an uncompromised, fun, and exhilarating experience. With an excellent dialed-in chassis and suspension, value, and a superb manual transmission, it represents the perfect formula of a great sports car.
Well everyone, I hope you enjoyed the in-depth look at the 2014 Mazda MX-5 Grand Touring. Be sure to stay tuned next time, there's a lot more where that came from. Take care everybody.